There is a kind of calm that feels almost unnatural. You have seen it before, in a tense meeting, in a difficult conversation, in a moment when everyone else is rushing and reacting. One person remains steady. Their voice does not shake. Their mind does not freeze. They are fully present while others are overwhelmed. Most people believe this calm is a personality trait, something you are born with or without. But what if it is a skill that can be trained? What if composure is not about suppressing emotion, but about understanding how your mind responds to pressure? Centuries ago, a Japanese warrior explored this question through discipline and observation. His insights were not about fighting. They were about mastering attention, staying grounded, acting without inner noise. Today, we can study these principles in a practical way that fits modern life. In this video, we will explore how pressure is created, how it can be reshaped, and how small daily practice can change the way you respond to challenges. If this is something you want to develop, stay with me until the end. Consider subscribing so you can continue learning with future videos. Let us begin. To understand how this works in real life, consider the story of a professional named John. He was intelligent, well-educated, and respected by his colleagues. On ordinary days, he performed well and spoke with clarity, but the moment real pressure appeared, something changed. During important presentations, his thoughts scattered. In negotiations, his voice tightened. After each situation, he replayed the moment in his mind and wondered why he could not stay composed. John did what most people do. He searched for quick solutions. He tried breathing exercises, productivity systems, and motivational advice. Some of these helped for a short time, but none changed his reaction when the stakes felt high. The harder he tried to control his emotions, the stronger they seemed to become. What John did not realize was that he was fighting the wrong battle. He believed calmness was something you forced in the moment. In reality, it is something you build long before the moment arrives. His struggle was not a lack of confidence or talent. It was a pattern his mind had learned through years of reacting to stress the same way. This realization marked the beginning of a different approach. Instead of chasing confidence, he began training stability. He started observing his reactions without judging them. He noticed how quickly his body prepared for danger, even when no real threat existed. That awareness gave him a new question. If the reaction was learned, could it also be retrained through deliberate practice? This idea would soon change the way he approached every challenge. From then on, John shifted his focus from controlling outcomes to understanding pressure itself. He began studying what happened inside his mind at the exact moment stress appeared. He noticed that nothing dangerous was actually happening in those meetings or presentations, yet his body reacted as if survival were at risk. His heart accelerated. His breathing became shallow. His attention narrowed. The reaction was automatic and ancient. This is when he encountered an idea found in traditional disciplines of focus and awareness. Pressure is often not the event. Pressure is the interpretation of the event. The brain predicts threat before evidence appears and prepares the body to protect itself. This response can be useful in real danger, but confusing in modern environments where challenges are psychological rather than physical. John realized that trying to calm down after the reaction had already started was like trying to stop a wave after it had formed. Instead, he needed to change the conditions that created the wave. He began practicing awareness in small, ordinary moments, sitting at his desk, walking into a conversation, starting a simple task. Each time he observed his state and gently returned to steady breathing and clear attention. If you have ever felt this same pattern, you are not alone, and you can follow this training as well. As you watch, reflect on a situation where pressure usually takes over and comment one to mark that moment for yourself. This small action is not for the algorithm, but for your own awareness. Because change begins when you notice what is happening. We will build on this understanding step by step, so the mind learns a different response. Not through force, but through repetition and clarity. In the next part, you will see how deliberate practice reshapes perception and allows calm to exist even when the environment remains demanding. Stay present and continue with me as we move forward now. As John continued this practice, he discovered something surprising. The goal was not to remove pressure, but to see it clearly before reacting to it. When he paid attention early in the process, he could notice the first signals of tension, a tightening in the shoulders, a rush of thoughts about the future, a quiet urge to rush or defend himself. These signals used to pull him into automatic behavior. Now they became reminders to return to a steady state. He began training in situations that carried very little risk, ordering coffee, writing routine emails, speaking in small meetings. In each moment, he practiced keeping the same tone of attention he had when sitting alone at home. No special performance, no attempt to appear confident, just consistent presence. At first, this felt unnatural. His mind kept trying to switch into alert mode as if every task were urgent, but repetition slowly changed the pattern. The more often he returned to a balanced state, the more familiar it became. What once required effort started to feel normal. This stage was not dramatic or fast. It was quiet and gradual, yet it built a foundation that could support him when real challenges appeared. By training in ordinary moments, he was preparing for extraordinary ones. He was learning that calm is not created in crisis. It is carried into crisis through habit. This understanding set the stage for a deeper level of preparation that would shape how he approached future demands. He soon realized preparation must become intentional rather than accidental. Calm could be trained in advance, just like physical movement. This meant creating moments of reflection before challenging situations appeared. Each morning, he spent time visualizing tasks becoming slightly difficult. He imagined staying steady while solving problems without rushing reactions. The exercise was simple, but it strengthened attention and balance. By repeating this daily, he reduced the surprise of real stress. What once felt overwhelming slowly became familiar and easier gradually. Familiarity allowed his mind to remain curious instead of defensive. Curiosity replaced fear and gave him space to choose responses. He also limited distractions that previously amplified tension during preparation. Less noise meant clearer awareness of how he actually felt. With clarity, he could reset posture breathing and focus quickly. These resets were small, yet they accumulated into meaningful change. Over weeks, he trusted the process more than his predictions. Trust allowed consistency, and consistency built a stable internal environment. This environment was not controlled by circumstances, but by practice. When challenges appeared, he recognized them as events, not threats. That recognition prevented escalation and protected energy needed for action. At this point, progress became visible to others around him. Colleagues noticed steadiness even when deadlines were tight and uncertain. Their reactions reinforced his training because calm influenced the environment. If you are following this journey, reflect on your habits. Choose one routine activity today and approach it with awareness. This is where transformation begins, not in drama, but repetition. To mark that commitment for yourself, you can comment too. Let it remind you that progress grows through attention daily. The goal is not perfection, but returning again and again. Each return strengthens patterns that support clarity under demanding conditions. Over time, those patterns operate automatically without force or conflict. What began as practice gradually becomes identity shaped by behavior. Identity then influences action, making calm responses more natural daily. This is how preparation evolves into reliability rather than motivation. Reliability creates confidence grounded in evidence instead of hopeful thinking, and that confidence supports thoughtful action even when uncertainty remains. Step by step, he built a mind that stays steady. As this reliability grew, John noticed another important shift. He was no longer trying to remove thoughts. Instead, he was learning to clear space for the thoughts that actually mattered. Before each demanding task, he paused and asked himself 3 simple questions. What needs to be done right now? What information is truly necessary? What state of mind will support this action? Anything that did not serve those questions was set aside. Worry about outcomes could wait. Imagined criticism from others had no role in the present step. Predictions about failure were only noise. By filtering his attention this way, he conserved energy and directed it toward execution rather than doubt. This practice did not mean ignoring responsibility or pretending challenges were easy. It meant focusing only on what could be influenced in that moment. When attention stayed aligned with action, he experienced less internal resistance. The task itself became clearer and often simpler than he had expected. Over time, this habit strengthened his ability to remain present even when circumstances were complex. He discovered that clarity is not created by adding more effort, but by removing what is unnecessary. With fewer distractions, the mind can respond accurately and efficiently. This stage deepened his confidence because it showed that calm was supported by structure. It was not an abstract idea, it was a repeatable process. Each time he applied it, he reinforced the connection between awareness and effective action. That connection prepared him for situations that once felt intimidating. With this structure in place, John began to approach preparation in a more deliberate way. Instead of waiting for important moments to test his composure, he created controlled rehearsals. Before a meeting or presentation, he would spend a few minutes imagining the environment in detail. He pictured walking into the room, hearing questions, and noticing the natural rise of tension. Then he practiced responding with the same steady attention he had developed during ordinary tasks. This was not fantasy or wishful thinking. It was a method of familiarization. By repeating these mental rehearsals, he reduced the sense of novelty that often triggers stress. The situation no longer felt unknown, and the mind did not rush to defend itself. When the real event arrived, it resembled something he had already experienced many times. He also accepted that discomfort would still appear. The difference was that discomfort no longer dictated his behavior. He allowed sensations to come and pass while maintaining direction. This approach replaced avoidance with engagement. Instead of escaping pressure, he learned to move through it with awareness. If you want to apply this step, choose one upcoming challenge and rehearse it calmly in advance. Keep the image simple and focus on how you want to act rather than what you fear. To anchor this intention, you can comment 3 as a reminder that preparation begins before action. Through repetition, these rehearsals strengthened trust in his ability to remain present. Trust reduced hesitation, and reduced hesitation allowed clear decisions. Over time, preparation became a quiet advantage that supported him in every demanding situation he faced. After several weeks of applying this approach, John encountered a situation that would once have unsettled him. A major review meeting was scheduled with senior leaders present, and expectations were high. In the past, he would have rehearsed worst-case scenarios and carried that tension into the room. This time, he followed the same preparation he had practiced each day. He arrived early, sat quietly, and focused on steady breathing and posture. There was no attempt to force confidence or suppress nerves. Instead, he allowed himself to observe the environment without assigning meaning to it. People entered, conversations began, and he noticed that his attention remained stable.